This play has a 75% chance to hit tonight in Monday Night Football. Let's get into it. So, first thing we're going to talk about here is going to be the total. That's what we're going to focus on in tonight's game. We're going to focus on the total. Tonight we got the 49ers going against the Panthers. So, what are we going to do here? We're going to go ahead and we're going to depict all the key stats within the total to figure out where the edge is going to lie for tonight, because there is an edge on the total. So, let's look at a couple things that I like to look at for a total that make it make sense. So the first thing is going to be yards per play. So what this means is pretty much how explosive the offensive, plays are. Pretty much. That's what that means, plain and simple. How explosive the plays are. Do they allow explosive plays as well? So let's go ahead and start with the Carolina Panthers here. Panthers on offense are 27th and have 5 yards per play on offense, which is not that great. That's not explosive really at all. But on defense, they're 23rd and allow 5.6 yards per play. So they tend to give up some big plays here and there. Now let's take a look at the 49ers here. 49ers are 13th in explosive plays on offense. They average about 5.5 yards per play, so that's actually pretty decent on offense. Then defensively, they're even worse than the Panthers here, where they are 24th in the league and allow 5.7 yards per play. So offensively, Carolina doesn't have too many explosive plays. 49ers, they tend to. And opposite side here, Carolina, meaning pretty much they like to give up some explosive plays here and there. So you could kind of see that that's where it's going to go tonight. You're going to see a couple explosive plays probably from the 49ers, at least. That's what the yards per play can tell you. Now, why this is important, because when you're looking at an over and under for a total, this is where you can kind of tell how the game script should go. So if both teams give up explosive plays, you tend to understand that there's a possibility that we could see some big plays in the game, which leads to quicker points, which leads to more points. If they don't give up big plays, that's more of a game script where it's just short passes here and there, little runs here and there, and the clock just keeps getting eaten up and there's not a lot of scoring going on. So that's why the yards per play is very important, to be able to see the game script of pretty much what you can project. Which is going to take us into our next thing here. Now we're going to look at the projection score of what we can come up with. Now how we do that is by taking our points per play, what they average on the year and what they give up. Points per play. Let's go ahead and start out with Carolina. They average 0.29 points per play and they give up 0.39 points per play. So offensively they're 0.29. That's not too great, okay? The offense. So far what we're looking at here, Carolina's offense, a little shaky, not too good, all right? But 0.29 is not that great. Now let's take a look at the 49ers here. The 49ers average 0.37 points per play on offense, which is actually pretty decent. And then they give up 0.36 points per play. So they give up a decent amount as well. Same thing with Carolina here, all right? Now once we have these written down, what do? We need to find a way to project the score based off of their points per play. And how you find that is how many plays they run throughout the game on average. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the plays per game here. We'll start with Carolina. I'm going to label this stuff so that way you guys can see, all right? This is points per play. So let's get back to plays per game here. Let's start with Carolina. They average 63.2 plays per game, which is actually pretty quick. Now let's get to the 49ers. They average 63.8 plays per game. Okay, so actually offenses here pretty quick, both sides. All right, they like to get up on the ball and get plays rolling. So they're not lackluster and letting the time really expire. So now that we have our yards per play down, we have our points per play down, and we also have our plays per game, now we're going to come with our projection here and see exactly what it is that these guys are projected to score for tonight by doing a little bit of math. The math that we're going to do here is we're going to take our plays per game and we're going to times that by the points per play on both sides, and that should give us a projection. So let's start out with Carolina. So Carolina averages 63.2 plays per game. Let's times that by what they average on offense, points per play, which is 0.29. That's going to give us 18.32. Okay? Now let's do it on the end with what the 49ers allow. So we'll take the 63.2 plays that they run, and we're going to times that by what the 49ers allow points per play, which is 0.36. And that's going to give us a total of 22.75. Now let's get to the 49ers here. So the 49ers average 63.8 plays per game. We're going to times that by what they do on offense, which is 0.37. And that's going to give us a total of 23.60. Now let's see, compared to what Carolina allows, we will take the 63.8 and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to times that by 0.39, which is going to give us 22.90. So now we have to come up with the actual score here of projections. All right, what you would do here is you would add these together, we divide it by 2. That's going to get our average of those two for a pretty accurate projected score. So once we do that, this is going to equal 20.53, and then the 49ers here are going to equal 23.58. So what do we have as a projected score here? If we add those together, pretty much the projected score that we got between both combined is going to be about 44 points. Now, if we take a look at this and we look at the projected score of 44 points and we look at the line for tonight, the line for tonight is right now 49.5. Okay? If you take a look at that, what does that tell us? That would tell us to look at the under, right? But not so fast. And here's the reason why. Okay? Because first, let's take a look at line movement here. Okay? The line movement here is it now has moved to 49.5. So that right there is favoring the over. Then let's take a look at the head-to-head trends here between these two teams when they play each other. It's 5-3 favoring the over. Okay? So now we got two areas here that are favoring the over in this matchup. Then the last one, if you take a look at the money bet percentage right now, this is how this works out. We got 56% of the bets on the under. Probably because the public is kind of looking at what we're looking at, right? Your projected score or whatnot is below that number, so they're probably hammering the under. That's the reason why. But the money, okay, there's 60% of the money coming in on the over. So we have the complete opposite side. This is what we like to see, right, when we're looking at a matchup. So even though our projected score is at 44 and the number is at 49.5, we have 3 indicators here that literally are telling us this game has a good shot to go over. So what could we do here to manipulate this number to literally make this number make more sense to our projected number? What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to buy the points here, okay? Because most people would be like, oh, well, this means go under, so you'd bet the under. No, because there's a bunch of stuff that's going against you if you're on the under here. So we're going to take the over, but it's what number are we going to go at, okay? Because you got to follow the key numbers here to be able to see which one we can buy off and on, so that way it makes sense and we actually have our percentage and we get our edge. Now let me write down those key numbers here. So we got 40, we got 41, 43, 44, 47, and 50. So you got your key numbers up here. Where do we fall? Our projection is 44, so we could land right on 44, which is not what we're going to want to do. Okay, we're not going to want to land on 44. But if we went back 1 to 43.5, now we come across 43 as a key number as well. So actually we have to go to 42.5 here. So to make it make sense, to have an edge, to give ourselves that cushion here, okay, to give us ourselves a 75% shot at hitting the over here, we have to buy it back to 42.5. Okay, so we have to go over 42.5 on the alternate total to give ourselves that percentage there. And at that rate, that's going to give us a plus 3% edge. All right, so over 42.5 is where you're going to be able to lie and actually take an edge in tonight's total.